My husband has inflated Frosty the Snowman on the lawn, and my son has scissored some spectacular giant snowflakes for the window. The house smells like warm spiced cider, and the boys are playing video games on Dad's computer, sharing some rare father-son time in our ever-evolving world of cultural media. I pull my favorite box out of the decorations bin, the one with the picture of a 9-volt drill on the lid. Inside the lid, my grandfather's careful scrawl says, Nida's Nativity. Purchased 1937, moved into this box 1959. Gramps was a poet trapped in a world that required his presence much more than he could ever give it. He owned a concrete business, but lived in the abstract. These matter-of-fact words on a box are my most regular connection to my grandfather. The rumor has it, there are boxes of unread poetry stored in some relative's attic. I figured out by chance that my grandmother's nativity is an iconic Fontanini set from Naples, although the dime store stickers on the bottom of some of the pieces suggest it might be a knockoff. 35 cents for baby Jesus? What a bargain. Sometime this spring, the mantle over the TV set, our digital hearth, became cluttered with faces. Action figures from past Christmases were poised on the ledge during an epic 7th grade playtime. Boba Fett and clone troopers faced down Batman. Half a dozen Bionicles, with their angular machine-like anatomies, crouch and twist in graceful ballet-like fighting poses around the candlesticks. A grimacing Gollum stares at a pregnant Barbie doll who arrived on my summer birthday. Standing safely behind plastic, mint, and box, she smiled vacantly, less worried than she probably should be. This fall, all of the bobblehead sports figures and mascots joined the collection, coming out to root for the teams. I consider shouting for help to clear the clutter of monsters from the mantle, but just as I open my mouth, a burst of laughter explodes from the next room, followed by manic beeping music. I want to let them have their fun. Dad and son time is rare and special these days, with Max growing up and hanging out with friends all the time. I sigh and push a nodding buffalo back a few inches toward a nodding Jeff Tedford, like the opening move in a chess game. All I really need is about 1 square foot to set up the traditional action figures of the season. I wipe dust from the oak surface with the side of my hand and carefully set the 11 precious heirlooms out. 2 little sheep, an ox with cool wire horns, a kneeling camel, a very annoyed-looking donkey, and a wad of green-tinted wood shavings representing hay for them all to pretend feed on. Another little lamb is draped around the shoulders of an awestruck shepherd boy about Max's age, with curly blonde hair. Beautiful, beneficent Mary comes out next, her graceful head tipped to the side with expressive maternal devotion, her tiny hands folded to her heart, which seems to be bursting with love and gratitude. Mary's gaze must always point toward baby Jesus in his crib with the painted hay, no matter how I arrange the other figurines. Sadly, there is no Joseph in this set. Mary is a single mother because of some unknown accident that took place before 1959. Joseph's absence is a mystery, like so many other things in my family. Perhaps Joseph was lost in the move to the drill box. Perhaps the set was on sale in the dime store in 1937 because he went missing already, maybe swiped by someone whose earlier set had lost theirs. What happened to Joseph? Was he dropped or broken? Did he shatter when thrown? John and Nida did have a tempestuous relationship, John being an alcoholic as well as an artist, and alcoholics being notorious liars. Nida did not know, for example, that he had 4 children until after their wedding. Though made of papier-mâché, these precious figurines are definitely breakable. One of the sheep lost a leg the year I got help packing the drill box after Christmas from a certain 5-year-old. There is no room in the box for padding, and the puzzle doesn't work unless the camel goes in first, and the annoyed donkey goes in second. The last 3 figurines are Gaspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, the wise men from the East. Some Christian super nerds don't put the kings out until Epiphany on January 6th, which is when they supposedly showed up to see the cuddly 2-week-old. But by then, the lights in our house will long be down, and we will be so on to the next thing. Old bearded Gaspar has a box of gold. Brown-skinned Melchior's got a swinging censer of frankincense, and Balthazar with the myrrh is missing his head. I remember he used to have a head, this king from Egypt, when I was a child. A fine-featured, handsome black face that prompted so many questions my grandma struggled to answer. I could never throw his expressive little body away, his hands open to receiving as well as giving. Because every year I fashion some solution. I've balanced marbles and super balls on his neck. I've stuck lollipop handles down the hole, smiley face stickers right onto his chest. Once it was a cranberry, another year a piece of popcorn. A wise man without a head is actually a wonderful symbol, I think, completely devoid of ego. I began to see little Balthazar as the wisest man of all, the action figure of not knowing. I shift all of the faces on the mantel to face inwards, then step back and smile. Baby Jesus is now the center of attention, and it's as if all creatures from every universe have come to pay their respects to the original Superman. Conceived without sperm! This baby could beat death itself! I shift Mr. Incredible so he has a better view, and arrange the giant articulated Spider-Man into a lotus position. The more the merrier, it's Christmas time. A tiny Cthulhu made of green pipe cleaners and googly eyes even hangs above the manger, glaring down at his adorable nemesis. I close up the empty box and gather an armload of cardboard containers to take to the garage until it's time to put Christmas away. On the way back inside, I noticed something on the driveway. A tiny plastic flower that must have fallen out of a neighbor kid's bike basket, or away from some gift wrap that was once in my packing boxes, or maybe from a hat. A tiny red rosebud. Lo, how a rose are blooming. My favorite obscure Christmas carol begins to play in my head. I toss the rose in the trash and then dig it right out again. I know where it belongs. I take the little flower to the mantel and put the stiff plastic stem down the vase-like neck of the wise man. It fits perfectly. At last, he has achieved enlightenment. This rose will be in his head from now on. The open blossom is like the lotus flower of the Buddha, a psychedelic symbol, a new layer of possibility growing on an old fixed story, a fractal unfolding created by divine coincidence and synchronicity. For what better illustrates the inner experience of Christ consciousness, the quantum reality of divinity within all of us, than a blossoming awareness? Mary loved her son because he was her son, but what if when the Magi laid eyes on the foretold Christ in the form of this delicious gurgling baby Jew, it completely blew their minds? And what if, as we grew into a society that makes and embraces idols, we imbued them with the divine essence of Jesus' innocent babiness? What if every one of these pop culture characters, each of them a person from a beloved story, had a chance in the imaginary world, supported by our devotion to playthings and our lovely oak mantle, to become amazed at the ultimate force of good within themselves? Pregnant Barbie smiles at this idea. Snoopy nods. Something else explodes in the other room, and laughter fills the house. And somewhere in this entwined, reflected, and folding on itself universe, Grandpa John writes a poem, putting the best and most divine part of himself on paper for his devoted, feisty Nida, his wife who was there to teach his grandkids something about living life well by saving the little unexpected joys.